Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of If I'm Honest. Apologies in advance for the nasally sounding voice. I have allergies really put me in my place this week. But today, I'm so excited to share that we have Lindsay Shookus on the show today, and she is a 7-time Emmy-winning and 2-time Peabody-winning television producer, speaker, and executive coach. For 20 years, she was a veteran producer on Saturday Night Live, where she ran the talent department and was responsible for booking the host, musical guests, and cast. Most recently, she executive produced the Sports Emmy-nominated HBO docuseries Alex vs. A-Rod, and today she brings all of the lessons she learned in trust and leadership to stages and executive teams across the country. As a keynote speaker and executive coach, she works with senior leaders, rising talent, and organizations to build credibility, strengthen transformational relationships, and lead with confidence under pressure. She also executive produced Miley Cyrus's New Year's Eve party, was an associate producer on the critically acclaimed TV show 30 Rock, and produced NBC's Adele Live in New York City special. Her work has been recognized by The Hollywood Reporter, Billboard Magazine, Bustle, and Elle Magazine. She's also the founder of Women Work Fucking Hard, a community committed to empowering women founders and business leaders. She studied journalism at the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill. She is a member of the 2022 class of Henry Cowan Fellows within the Aspen Global Leadership Network at the Aspen Institute, and she resides in New York City with her family. Team, Lindsay is so cool, and we realized when we met prior that we had so many similarities and synergies across our career paths, our lives, what we're focusing on. And so it was really special to dive into what made her so special at SNL and what she took from that 2-decade career and then applies to what she's building now. She gets really, really honest about some of the things she's working through, some very cool mantras that we can all use to help us get out of lulls and tough times. And she just shares so many gems about how she views the world, how she thinks about the world, what she's trying to share with others. And the energy is just incredible. So I really hope that you enjoy this conversation with Lindsay Shookus. Lindsay, thank you so much for joining me on If I'm Honest.
Thanks for having me.
You've had a busy week.
I have. I've had one of those mornings where, if I'm really honest, before I walked in here, you guys may not, I had to stop and I put my head against the wall and I literally outside the.
Oh, I didn't see that. You had gotten it together.
I had to literally nose to wall. I had to take 3 deep breaths before I walked in.
Is that how you do your deep breathing or really center?
I normally don't go to a wall, but it was just
What compelled you?
I felt like I had to collect myself. I wasn't able to be in the dark, so I was just get next to a wall and close your eyes.
Oh, would you otherwise go in the dark, if you were at home?
I would just go to quiet, private.
Take some deep
not
breaths.
In the hallway of a building.
But you know what? We love that this recording studio is multi-purpose now, and it can be a good centering space.
Meditation center and also podcast studio.
Exactly. Well, again, thank you so much for joining us. And obviously, I feel like we have so many synergies. It was so fun to talk with you ahead of time. And I've read your intro, everyone knows who you are. But to kind of jump into the start, you graduated from UNC Chapel Hill. So again, North Carolina, New York connection, love that. And you had a journalism degree, and then you became Marcy Klein's assistant on Saturday Night Live. Did you always know that you wanted to go into TV or show business or not? And then how did you get that gig specifically?
I mean, I think like many people, if I knew that job was an option, I would have been like, yeah, that sounds great, But I grew up in Buffalo, New York, and my version of show business was I went to regional theater, and the anchor of the local news was the biggest deal in the world. Right. It wasn't even a thought in my brain because I didn't know it existed. Mm-hmm. Obviously I knew show, but you don't think of the people who are putting it on. I wasn't really thinking about producing when I was, even though I was born a producer, my mother would say, I didn't realize you could get paid to do that. Right. So it didn't even occur to me until I moved here. And then the first interview I was given was at Saturday Night Live. I mean,
Did you apply for it or did you get connected for it?
I tell this chocolate chip cookie story where I had an internship at a film studio when I was in college. My one semester, I couldn't really afford to move to New York everybody did and stay in the dorms. They were just too expensive. So I lived outside the city in my aunt's house. I commuted back and forth to have my internship where I really, if I'm honest, I was faxing things. And if
I love that. Thanks for the plug.
Ding, 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 every time you say it.
You're one of the first people to organically
do
that.
I say that all the time.
Oh my gosh, I'm so happy. Again, another synergy. Sorry to interrupt.
We could have a drinking game.
We will.
But I was faxing things, and I remember photocopying newspaper clippings. I wasn't really stretching myself in my internship. But I really liked my boss. Her name was Terry Connors. And I remembered her birthday. And the next summer when I went back to Buffalo, I was trying to make money so I could move to New York. I was waitressing. I think every kid should have to waitress or serve. And I remembered her birthday. I couldn't really afford to like get her a gift. So I baked her chocolate chip cookies and I put them in the mail.
No.
Didn't FedEx them. Mailed them.
USPS. Good for you.
So she got like 7-day-old cookies in the mail. And I think she was so impressed that I remembered her birthday and that I like did something about it as a 22-year-old. And so when I moved to New York, she was really the only person I knew in show business. I emailed her and she was like, let me see what I can do. And the first thing she came back with was like, do you want to interview to be Lorne Michaels' assistant?
Oh my gosh.
By the time I got there, they had filled that position.
Yeah.
But then I got immediately kind of swooped over to the talent department to interview there.
That is so cool. So let me ask you, do you remember everyone's birthday? Is that kind of a thoughtfulness that you naturally possess? Or was it a little bit like, okay, I know she's important. I know this is her birthday. Let me remember. No wrong answer, right? But like, was that who you like?
I'm a gift giver. Like
okay.
gift. If you went into my apartment, New York City apartment, don't have room for much. I have two gift closets that are labeled, and they're all mostly women-founded companies, but like I gift.
That's
I
so
write
cool.
notes and I gift. And it's always been, and my, obviously when I was younger, I wasn't as great as a thank you note writer, but now I really pride myself in like writing the notes.
It makes such a big difference. To take a slight tangent. So like we bought our apartment and the management company helped us a lot, and like they rushed it. Like we had a very short timeline, and I wrote them along with our broker and our attorney like handwritten thank you notes from me and Ben. And I get an email like a week or two later, and she's like, oh my God, I've been having a week and it was just so nice to get this note, and you just have no idea how impactful this was. Thank you so much. And again, it's something I like doing. I like people to know that I'm grateful for them or that I appreciate them. And it's just so nice that you can know it like makes such a positive impact. So,
oh, by the way, talk about a way to stand out, especially nowadays. Like, I mean, gifts, I don't think you have to give gifts. I just love doing it. I love thinking it through and what would make someone happy. And I think I'm like the friend who's a little annoying because like I don't just like buy the shirt.
Yeah.
Like I like really think it through of like what would be special.
yeah.
But the note is just something that doesn't take that much time, and the impact, the time spent versus the impact, the return on investment is just incredible.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
And especially if it comes naturally to you, it just like, it flows. It's not an upset. You don't have to set a reminder or anything. It just like does that. But I think that's a huge
yeah.
asset.
Well, I credit it for like helping me get my start at Saturday Night Live. So I think it paid off.
That's so cool. So you're 22 or 23 when you're starting. So you said that you ended up in the talent department. Did you stay in the talent department the whole 20 years that you were there? Okay. But you did a lot of different things.
Well, I moved my way up the food chain.
Yeah. So can you explain like some of your titles again?
I mean, they're all like, it was like I went from assistant to, I think I jumped over talent associate. They didn't make me do that. Then I was talent coordinator, then talent executive, then associate producer, then maybe co-producer, then producer. I mean, like, it's like that kind of thing. It's SNL, in television, obviously there's all these different kinds of producers. At SNL, they take the word producer in your title very seriously. And at other shows, it's like you can become an associate producer in like 2 years, right? Like at SNL, I think it took me 8 to become an associate producer.
So what are the components of the producer when you say they take it very seriously? For
Just
people
the
who
fact that the word is in your title. Like
you must produce things.
It's like you have to be a serious contributor. Like Lorne really, he cared. If he didn't care about titles really until that point, until the name producer, the title producer was in your name, which I kind of really respected because then it was something you really, like it was a big deal.
Yeah.
When you got that AP credit, it was a big deal.
That's huge.
And I could be an associate producer and you could be an associate producer and we could be doing 2 totally different things. But I think it was the impact and the responsibility and the accountability you had that gave you that title.
Yeah.
And also that they thought you had a future there. I think it was also a sign that they're like, we want you here.
That vote of confidence, which I talk about this a bunch, but like, especially as a woman in a male-dominated field, and I don't know if it's as much in show business, but like when you walk into a room and the people underestimate you, you feel that. And so like you then have to fight back through it. And so at the same time, when you walk into a room and you know that people take you seriously and that they respect you and that they know that you deserve to be there, I feel like it's almost like a luxury that you then get to like focus on the craft of what you're doing, which I
Yeah.
think is really special.
Yeah, I look back at that time, and there was actually another producer who really went to bat for me to get that title, that associate producer title, when I was younger. But I remember, like, at that time, I was still, like, young enough to, like, not really understand the pressure of what it means to be starting to become in charge.
Yeah.
Like, it's still really fun,
Yeah.
and you're not quite, like, burdened by the hard decisions.
Right.
I mean, if I look back, it was a really awesome time. I met my ex-husband at SNL, and we both became associate producers at the exact same time. And we were given, like, a contract the same time, which was really nice for two people who are dating, because it would be really hard if it wasn't, you know? And it was just such a, like, fun, like, the world is your oyster kind of time for me at the show.
That's so cool. Was there a specific phase of your time at SNL, or like a specific role that you felt was most impactful for your own personal development?
Well, I think becoming in charge, like being a producer, being the head of the talent department, was the most impactful as far as, like, learning.
Okay.
You know, like, having to do hard things, being uncomfortable. If I was going to go back to, like, the sweet spot of my time, I'd go back to when I was, like, in my 20s, right? Like, I was there with, like, Kristen Wiig and Andy Samberg and Jason Sudeikis, Bill Hader. Like, those were my people, and we were all growing up at the show, and, like, you know, what a cool experience. Like,
So
that
cool.
was the most fun for me. But when it comes to, like, what's made me who I am today, and, like, I find that usually it's, like, some of the really hard stuff that makes us better.
Yeah.
And that became when I had my daughter, and I became producer within, you know, a few days of each. Actually, no, I got pregnant, and I became producer within, like, 3 days of each other.
Oh, wow.
And then having to, like, learn, like, the job that I hadn't done yet, prove myself, have a baby, come back, like, 6 weeks later, and then work that schedule. You know, I mean, it was really hard, but also just, like, the most like growth building time of my life.
Yeah,
for sure.
No, that makes sense, and with all the hard stuff. So, from I don't know, like a making decisions or people management or that, can you share any of the specific, like, really hard things that you had to figure out and be responsible for? Like, one example of something that you look back on as, like, that was really challenging.
I mean, listen, Saturday Night Live is the craziest, like, most chaotic, wonderful place. I think I'm trying to think of, like, specific things I learned. Like, you know, I'm someone who's always just, like, wants to tie it up with a bow. Like, okay, now this is done, I can move on with my life. And I really had to learn to get comfortable with just, like, the not knowing, the, like, like, you know, it's like, by the way, for instance, COVID, right? I would lose a musical guest like 2 days before the show. And then it's just like, you had to figure it out. And just, like, you know, having to sit in the, like, this isn't figured out, and yet you have to go to bed tonight. And, like, you can't stay up all night worrying about it. Or, you know, things have a way of working themselves out, but having to just sit in discomfort. Also, like, having to deal with the imposter syndrome of, like, I remember one time Lauren called me into his office. It was like 7 o'clock on a Saturday. We were about to start a dress rehearsal. And he was like, I need you to eat dinner in my office tonight during dress rehearsal. And I was like, and I had just ordered myself a really hot turkey burger pizza style. And from this, like, healthy place called The Pump that we used to eat at. I was, like, all ready to eat my turkey burger pizza style and my steamed broccoli. And he's like, you need to eat up here in my office tonight. And I was like, okay, like, say more.
Yeah.
He's like, Mick's coming. And I was like, okay, Mick Jagger.
Yeah.
And he's like, I want you to have dinner with him and sit with him tonight. You know, he's trying to get him to host the show. And he's like, so if you could just, like, you know, help talk to him, whatever.
Right.
And I remember thinking, well, first of all, like, I'm not going to eat a turkey burger pizza style with steamed broccoli in front of Mick Jagger. So that's going to sit cold for a few hours.
Yeah.
But, like, just the thing of, like, what am I going to talk to Mick Jagger about for 2 hours? Like, this is Mick Jagger. I mean, he is, like, you know, rock and roll royalty.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't feel like I deserved the honor, honestly. Like, you know, it's like, that's just not, I just didn't I remember feeling really like, gosh, like, what are we going to do for 2 hours?
Was it like an insecurity?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, even after doing it for many, you know, there's certain people that would kind of, like, I remember, like, Helen Mirren, being like, oh my God, like Helen Mirren, like I need to build a really great relationship with Helen Mirren. Or like Elton John, people who were significantly older than me that I had to then come in and be this person of like, you know, of strength and knowledge. And it's like, I mean, come on, this is Helen Mirren or Elton, you know. So the Mick thing, I remember just thinking like, oh God, like I remember thinking like, well, you really, is this being jaded? Because you were like, I'd rather go downstairs and eat my turkey burger pizza style. But then you're like, I just, you know, I often say sometimes you just have to walk in the room before you can talk yourself out of it.
Yeah.
And that was one of those nights where you're just like, no, you're just going to go do it. And like, you don't even stop thinking about it because you're just going to do it.
Just go be
and
in
you're
the
gonna
moment.
figure it out. And I like to say to young people now, and even people like, you know, my age, of like, you have to trust that you're being put in situations that you can handle.
Yeah.
And I think I was really taught that, like, you know, you might not have been schooled or taught, or you don't really understand how you're going to handle something, but trust that you are being put in the situation for a reason and you can deal with it.
Yeah.
And you're going to.
You will figure it out.
You will figure it out.
And that builds confidence.
And it does. And there's like there's a real confidence builder in it. And then you keep getting better and, you know, and next thing you know, it's like, okay, well, now here Elon Musk's coming. And I'm like, I'm going to figure that one out too.
Yeah.
You know, and that won't be easy, but I know I'll figure it out. And also the great thing is Sunday always comes.
Right.
You know, so like, even if you have a hard week, Sunday always comes.
It's a finite period of time that you're going to be dealing with that. I think that reframe is always super helpful for me. And whether it's just something challenging, something sad, like, you know, whatever it is, like the time is finite, like the sun always rises. So that's actually a perfect segue for my next question, because I think I read this off your site. You described what you had to do as head of talent as having, quote, 5 days to figure out who someone was, what they were great at, and how you could help them shine, quote. And I think that's such an incredible life skill, team building skill. Can you share, like, if there were any key tactics or tricks or your own personality traits that made you so good at that?
Well, you have to get really good at reading a room, right?
Okay.
Like, I think that, and they don't teach a class on that. I wish they did. Maybe I should.
Maybe that's your next business venture. Oh my goodness, I'd sign
But like, you know, there is a little bit of a natural thing to it, like reading a room, which is like you are seeing more than just your hearing, like your body language, who's in the room, the energy, who's around, who's talking, who's not talking. Silence says a lot. You have to really listen, which, you know, we're not good at listening.
Really proactive
I became a
listening,
much better listener.
Yeah.
I became a really great question asker, you know, really. But I think ultimately to be a great question asker, you also have to be not afraid to like let your guard down and talk about your own things. And so, you know, really kind of pulling it back and being like every week being like, what are this person's needs? Like, what are they scared of? Because the truth is every single host wanted to be great, right? Like no host is like, I'll be a C, you know, like they all want to be A's.
Yeah.
And even though they're super famous and they're super successful, like they're not guaranteed an A on SNL. Yeah. They're very much not guaranteed it. So like trying to step back and be like, how can I help get them what they want, right? Yeah. And I think ultimately it was like learning to be vulnerable, really, really, you know what the other thing is asking for permission in the beginning. I learned in the last, like by the last 4 years of the show, I learned I need to talk to them before they get there. I need to say to them like, hey, how are you with feedback? Like you and I need to really trust each other. In the next 2 days, we have to be able to say honest things to each other. So however we can get there, we need to get there. And can I give you feedback? Like, are you, by the way, here's the thing. Most people are terrible with feedback.
100%, yeah.
But if you ask them, they typically will say yes.
Yeah.
Because it's you're rarely going to be like, no, I hate feedback. It's kind of like a thing that you don't want to say. So it gave me like permission to find a way to gently give feedback, having asked in the beginning.
Yeah, no, that's so true. And because as humans, we get defensive. Like no one wants to be wrong. No one wants to cause harm and all that stuff. But yeah, if you can preface it and know that it's coming, it's not a surprise when you're getting feedback. That's got to be so helpful for them.
Well, you've asked permission.
Yeah.
And they really were part in giving you permission to it, but like they really didn't have a choice.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I talk about being coachable on stage nowadays. So like, I think being coachable and adaptable and being open to feedback is one of the most powerful things we can do as human beings. And also, it's one of the hardest things.
One of the hardest things. So two reactions to that. So yet another synergistic thing between us, because it, like, how I'm interpreting what you're saying is that, like, you put in the extra activation energy to build that relationship, to meet people where they are, and like to figure out what their style is for optimal working environments. And like that was something that I also did on racing teams so much, especially when you have no idea what someone's background is, they don't really know what your background is, and you're doing this incredibly intense, high energy thing together that has serious consequences. And so like that's just so cool to hear like your side of that. And the second thing is that, so I just gave a keynote, and it was one that I was really happy with the delivery. I thought it was a good one. And the guy who oversees it wanted to talk to me afterwards, and he was like, I have some feedback. And like, I knew I did a good job, and so I knew that it would be an add-on, but I had to do my own coaching. It's like, okay, you're going to get feedback. Don't get defensive. Think about where it's coming from. And like, this is the person who hired me, so it's like, it's important what they think. And I was so pleased because he was so thoughtful in that feedback. And it was basically like how to do a slightly better job of tying it back to the audience, my own themes and stories, and what the messaging, and how to make it just slightly more personalized for the audience. And I was like, I spent 15 to 20 minutes with him afterwards, because it was like, wow, he's taking the time to do this. I objectively know that will make all of my keynotes better if I pay a little more attention to that. And I got to, in the immediate aftermath of a keynote, kind of work through the content I just went through and try to take down notes of how that could translate. And it's such a gift if you let it.
Hard, but it's really hard. I mean, I always say, like, if you look at it, like, if someone's like, hey, I've got a secret, and it's going to make you much better. It's going to make you a better version of yourself. Do you want it? You'd be like, yes, of course I want it. But when it's never presented that way. Yeah. I mean, I actually, when I was on stage once a couple years ago, and I was doing a Q&A at the end, and like I said, I talk about being coachable, right? And someone raised their hand and they said, do you want feedback from this audience? And I mean, I obviously had no choice but to be like, but of course.
Bring it on.
But of course. And he said, would you be willing to do a Zoom? And I was like, mm-hmm. And sure enough, I did a Zoom with this person from the audience.
Wow.
He spent 30 minutes with me. He was a big-time event planner. He'd been doing events and keynote speakers for 40 years. And he gave me a piece of advice. Now, I didn't take all of it. I talked to my agency, and they were like, okay, this is good, this is not. But he gave me a piece of advice that totally changed the top of my talk, that I now sometimes get an applause break for.
No way.
Yeah. And I added it because of him. So,
that is so cool.
Hard in the moment, because you are really, and I had to coach myself too beforehand. Like, come on, Lindsay, this is what you talk about.
Yeah.
Like, put your money
Walk
where your
the
mouth
walk.
is.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's hard.
It's hard. And especially, I don't know, I think there's the fact that this person was an event planner, I think kind of eases it a little bit. But like, sometimes when it's an audience member, you're like, subconsciously I find myself like, do you know what's best? Like, and then I realize, like, no, you're the audience.
Yeah.
If it doesn't land with you, then I'm not doing my job. So it's an
you have to, not everything is going to be like the most usable.
Right.
I will tell you this. This is, I think, a really interesting, my therapist, because that's something that I really am like, I don't want to be defensive. And it's something I've been working on for a long time. And my therapist has me, she says when something is coming towards me and I feel it in my body, defensiveness. Like I feel it tighten. I feel like a surge of, like, I don't know, anger, something.
Is it anxiety maybe?
I just feel my body like it's like a flight or fight mode.
Yeah.
That's really what it is. And she said to me, she's like, can you say the word soften to yourself in your brain? And I have to tell you, I now use it so much. And this is what will happen. If you were giving me advice, I'll end up being like, soften. Like I'll in my head I'll be like, okay.
For our listeners, she
like,
is softening in her chair and falling down.
I actually try, because my body needs it. Like, but I have found it to be the most useful tool. So much so that I'm sharing it with the people. I'm gonna take
so when you were just talking about that, I felt my body get more tense in mirroring you, basically. And then when you said soften, some muscles relax. That's so powerful.
Isn't that great? And it's been, this was like 2 months I've been using it, but I find it to be very, very useful.
Well, it just helps you like kind of reset your nervous system a little bit. That's such a great mantra.
Everything's okay. Just soften.
Oh, good for you. Thank you for sharing that with us.
Yeah.
So
I credit my therapist. I want to be.
Thank you to Lindsay's therapist for sharing that with us, because that's incredible. So we've talked about this before, but we both spent about 20 years in this one singular focus, you with SNL, me with racing, and you were building it, nurturing it, growing it, absolutely kicking ass in it, and then chose to step away. And this was about the same time for us, I think around 2022, right? Like that was about that time. So I've talked about how I found that transition exceptionally challenging in ways that I was not expecting. How was it for you? And I mean that partially in like, how did you know that it was time to step away? But then also, how did you react to it once you did the stepping away and like you were kind of like on to the next thing?
I mean, it was a long process for me.
Okay.
You know, and if I'm honest, it was like, you know, I think the healing and the unwinding of a journey after being in some place for 20 years where it was your entire identity and everything, single thing you aimed for from the age of 22 to 42. It doesn't just like, you're not just like, okay, great, it's done, goodbye, you know? So I would say, how did I know to leave? I mean, my job was going to be changing, and I kind of was like, I just very quickly was like, the words like it's time to bet on yourself came into my head. And very quickly I made the decision to just be like, okay, it's over. And it was one of the hardest things. I knew I had to do it. I also had been through enough hard things that I kept saying to myself, like, this is really hard, but you will get through it. Like, I knew that to be true. So it wasn't like I was panicking, like, oh my God. But I did, you know, like, but our minds are really, really hard, right? Our brains can really be our worst enemies. And the things that my brain was telling me, and like, I didn't really know I didn't have a plan. I didn't have the next thing figured out. Luckily at that moment, Alex Rodriguez asked me to do the documentary with him, which the timing was great. I mean, obviously it wasn't a full-time thing, but at least gave me something to be like, okay,
you could throw your energy into it.
This is the start of something. And I always say it was a wobbly time for me. It was, you know, you lose, like, you get surprised by people who don't write you back or don't call you or don't, you know, I remember sending someone who was really dear to me at the show, like a really long, loving email and never hearing back. And like those things are really hard, you know? I remember my mom feeling really hurt about that one because it was someone really close to me. But I had to just be like, we need to move. It's like, it's time to move on. It's like we can't, that's more about her than it is about me. Like I have to just let that go. And so I learned to like heal through like pain and sorrow, and I had to let go of like that feeling of like SNL is my everything. You know, I didn't watch the show for a very long time. I couldn't. It was just like too weird to me. And now it's like, I was at the Rainbow Room 2 weeks ago. There was a bat mitzvah. I went to a bat mitzvah at the Rainbow Room, and there was a show going on. And I walked in, by the way, it was black tie, walked in at 7:00 on a Saturday. And I said to my husband, I was like, oh my God, I used to be down here at 7 p.m. giving out dress rehearsal tickets. And I walked in, and one of the security guards was like, Lindsay, are you here to see the show? And I was like, I've seen enough, thank you. But I'm like, can you remind me where the Rainbow Room is? And like, I all of a sudden was like in the building of the place where everything unfolded for me for 20 years. And I just remember thinking like, I'm where I'm supposed to be. Like I am now with friends up on the top of the building, and I'm not producing the show, but I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. And it felt really good to not feel like, oh, I should be. And I was like, oh, this is right for me right now.
Well, I'm so glad you got to that point, but it sounds like it took years.
And then I went home and watched the show live. I was like, oh my God, Olivia Rodrigo. I was just like,
was that the first time that you had kind of
I had watched some things, but like I'd never gone home and like watch. I mean, I was always at the show, right? And so I actually like sat there and watched the show, and it was, you know, I felt, I like know what all my friends there were going through. And like, you know, you really live, like you just know these people. Like I remember someone said it was like trauma bonding. Like you have such a thing where you're like, I know exactly what they're going through. And I'm so happy for them that they're all doing well there. And then I'm happy for myself that like, I feel like I am so grateful for that place, but also I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be.
Yeah.
And I'm trusting it. You know?
Yeah. No, and that's so important. And so you've mentioned that you see a therapist. Were there other kind of tactics that I keep saying tactics, but were there other things that you really like leaned on or dug into to help you cope with the transition? Because change is not easy for anybody, whether you choose it or not. And even if you're super excited to do this change, but like, were there other things that you used to help you?
Well, I mean, luckily I have some really wonderful like people in my life, you know, like friends and my husband and just energy injectors. I remember the night that I decided to leave, like I remember looking around and like 6 of my closest friends and family were in my apartment. And when you have kids, you know, and all of a sudden for that many people to show up, you know, when they don't have sitters planned, like it was impressive. And they all showed up in my apartment that night, you know? And listen, I did a lot of meditation, a lot. I mean, I have a couple go-tos of like their guided meditations, and there was one on accepting change, and I must have listened to that one 500 times.
Yeah.
You know, like I read a lot of books. I cry. I mean, I just was like, the thing is, I look back at that summer, and I don't know if you look back at 22 that same way, but like I look back, I had a great summer. I still had a lot of fun. I did a lot of fun things, but I also was just like, I was really uncomfortable. Like I was physically uncomfortable at parts, like trying to figure out who I was going to be and doubting that what would be next. Just like that I had the ability. You know, SNL is so specific. Yeah. It's not like it's like, oh, SNL is like it's really one of one. Yeah. And I just didn't really know what was ahead. So I would say again, just like sitting in the discomfort. I just like learned to get better at like being like, okay, trust the good things are ahead, and learn to be uncomfortable.
Yeah. And and I'm glad that you had so many fun things. And I get that because like when I looked at my life objectively, it was like I knew I was going to be starting a corporate job. Like I was going to have a regular paycheck for the first time in my life, which was going to be exciting. And
we
like,
flip-flopped.
Yeah, exactly. and like be able to flex new muscles. And you know, my husband and I had just gotten married, and like I knew that I was now going to be able to move to New York. Like there was so much stuff that like was positive, but it felt completely overshadowed by feeling like there was no, like, how would I reestablish a purpose? And that kind of leads me into the next question, which you were on Jess Ekstrom's podcast, and Jess is another speaker. She's wonderful. I met her in like 2018. We were both speaking at something, and so like have watched her grow.
She's so cool.
She's so cool, and
great energy.
Great energy, really transparent. I think it's really cool. But she asked you, how do you move on from something that was the best, like SNL? And you said something to the effect of how you can't recreate what you had before, and you're not supposed to. And when I read this, I think we had already met, but this had stopped me in my tracks because it just like was a bolt for me. And in a way, it was kind of liberating, and it was also a reminder that comparison is the thief of joy. And I don't know, there's something about like my mindset where I was, and I was like, I'm feeling pretty good at these days, so it's like I'm feeling good, but that simple rephrase of you're not meant to recreate it is, again, liberating, I think, is the best way to describe it. A little sad, but also liberating. And
you know, I don't know if I said this on the podcast, but like Alex Rodriguez is really the one that summer of 22 when we sat down to like, and he was like asking about the documentary, and we talked about him leaving the Yankees and leaving baseball, and it was really his advice where he was just like, you've worked on this like the idea of you trying to now be like, I have to go do that next to it and in the lane next door is like, it's so much pressure. It's also going to take away any of the joy you're ever going to have from building something new. He's like, just create something new. Like, and by the way, he didn't mean like, I mean, I really did create something new. Yeah. I could have stayed like, you know, I could have gone to like a studio job, let's say. And like, but like, let it be something new. Let it be a new vertical. Let it be a new experience. Don't go back and be like, okay, well, if I have to compare myself to like meeting a movie star and becoming friends with them every single week, okay, well, for 20 years, that's a really heavy lift.
And you're going to be disappointed, most likely. It's not, and you might not even be in the same like life space, mental space to actually do that. Because I was talking with a DJ on a different episode, and kind of this idea that you try to recreate the feeling you had when you were young, but you're such a different person later on in life that you might not be able to get that back to that same space just because of all the experiences you've had and all of the things that have happened and things you've accomplished. Like all the
Yeah.
metrics and like the thresholds kind of change. I think you can do new stuff, but it's almost like, yeah, you went to college. So it's like, I had the most fun in college. I thought it was wonderful. I worked so hard. It was a magical 4 years. And I never thought, okay, like, let me try to recreate that somewhere else. Like, I'm not going to have all of those puzzle pieces come together afterwards. It's kind of like that. It's like,
Right.
you know.
Yeah. I really think that we get stuck in these like tracks where like, well, this is the only thing I do. And you see it a lot. You see it a lot with women, especially around like my age of just like getting either pushed out of their jobs and they're like, well, this is the only thing I do. And it's like, God, like how did we get so narrow-minded about like what our skill sets are? Like the beautiful thing I've learned post SNL is like, yes, SNL was one, but the things I built, like the skill set I built and the like tool belt I have from SNL can be applied to like so many things that I would never have even imagined.
Yeah.
You know, like we limit ourselves with this like these limited beliefs. We're like, oh well, I'm just this, and it's like, man, if we can like. If you were to have somebody else, like I remember thinking, or maybe one of my friends said this to me, they're like, all of the people in this room would bet on you. All of them. If they had to be like, okay, you know, can we invest in you and what you're going to do? They would all do it because they believe in you. And it's like, why can't your beliefs equal like how the way this room looks at you?
Yeah.
And it's like, we just put ourselves in these boxes. And I've learned now, I've just pushed myself out of them, and it scares the hell out of me still to this day. Sometimes I like on the daily, I'm doing things that I'm like, oh my God, I don't even know if I know how to do this, but I just keep walking.
Yeah.
It's the same thing going back to Mick Jagger.
Yeah.
I walk in there before I can talk myself out of it.
Yeah. And you just be in that moment.
Yeah.
And I think that kind of goes back to what you had said earlier about how, you know, SNL was so niche and so specific. Like, how are you going to transfer that elsewhere? But it was similar with racing. Like, to your point, like what you learn is universal. You're going to have to be creative and intentional and proactive about translating those skills or using those skills to learn, or like, you know, articulating how those skills apply to something else. Like the idea of explaining how racing applies to a corporate career and strategy. Now, it helps that it's at NASCAR, but it's you have to be intentional with that.
Yeah, you can't wait for the people to come to you to be like, hey, we think you've got this amazing skill set. Now let's apply it to this like financial institution. Like,
right.
You have to be, you absolutely have to do the work, and you have to be creative, and you have to be confident in that skill set. But it's so possible.
Yeah, you have to be really proactive. And I think that's like universal for everyone, especially in this like professional climate. Like it's so hard. But I think that's important for anyone to identify what the skill sets are and really get after it to vocalize how they're beneficial.
Yeah. It takes some real, it takes a deep dive though. It's not just like, oh, well, I'm great at organizing and I'm great at events and I like, you know, it's like, you have to really think like, what is my superpower? Like, what are the things that I actually like, and not superpower, not just like what you're good at, but also like what energizes you.
Yeah.
Like, what is the thing that like brings you like where you could just keep going and going and going. And like, that's the thing, right?
Yeah.
And I realized the thing that I did at SNL with the host is the thing I did when I was 10 years old with my friends, and the things I'm still doing today with all the people in my life. It's just like helping people figure out, like making them feel like they're great, figuring out their skill set, how they're gonna like how they can use it, and make them believe that they can get better. It's like the belief, the inspirational belief of like, you're here, but you could be here, and like you definitely can do it.
Yeah.
You know, and it was like Elon Musk or Emma Stone, and now it's just a different type of people. You know.
Yeah. Personal question, no pressure to answer it. Like, do you feel that this, like, that you continuously carry this over into your parenting style?
My daughter would say yes. My daughter would say that like when she's not sure how to do something, like, you know, she comes to me for the talking. Like her dad's dad's the fun one. She would say like, Dad's funny, he's fun, he's a player, he's like all the things. I'm the talker. I'm the feelings person, you know, and I'm the one who's like, I'm gonna talk her through something hard and make her believe that she can get through it. And, you know, one of the one of the best books I read was The Curse of the Good Girl when my daughter was 5 years old.
Okay.
It's by the woman named Rachel Simmons, and it talks about normalizing feelings that are not okay. So it's not just like, oh, everything was fine. Because, typically parents are like, yeah, my day was good.
Yeah.
How was yours?
Yeah.
Let's go back to you. And it's like, show your kids that you get disappointed, that you get embarrassed, that you fail, that you make mistakes, that you get in trouble. And I read that when my daughter was 5 years old. And I'd say it's one of the most impactful pieces of advice I got. I've now since gotten to meet Rachel, and she's an awesome woman. But it changed the way I parented,
Sure.
so I share with my daughter, all the things, I'm really anxious right now. I screwed this up. I'm worried that I'm not going to do well. I'm uncomfortable because this feels out of my wheelhouse. I say all those things to her. And so therefore she gives it back to me.
That's so great.
And that part I'm so proud of.
As you should be. And recognizing also, because that gives her the opportunity to recognize early on, physically how she's feeling in certain situations. And if she associates that with discomfort or anxiety or disappointment, that then carries over into relationships, into professional situations. She'll have such a great radar or temperature gauge.
I mean, the biggest thing is it's just normal.
Yeah.
I really grew up thinking I could just be perfect and everything could be okay, and that eventually I would just be happy. And no one tells you that it's just it's not a straight line, and that you're going to go all over the place, and that you're going to have great months and then bad months and then a great year and then a really hard year. And and it gives you the resilience and the fortitude to get through those hard things. There are going to be hard times, and I think, there's whole post-traumatic growth. We do get better from things that were hard. We learn that we can get better. We can get through them because we've seen it happen.
And we build resilience, and it allows us to be that much more proud of ourselves. And I talk about being proud of ourselves a lot because I think that's there are a lot of purposes for life, but to be proud of yourself is just so cool because you worked so hard, you executed, maybe you had a little luck, doesn't matter, everyone does, and then you know that you did that, and to pat yourself on the back, that creates momentum to then go do other stuff. And I love that.
It's one of those things that since I left SNL, I've had to really do the work to allow myself to be proud, because it was something that I did not. You don't really feel proud at SNL. SNL is very much you just keep going. Something happens, you just keep going. And so I've really done a lot of work to when I get introduced, when I'm going on stage, I close my eyes and I listen to the introduction every single time, because I'm they're talking about you.
Yeah.
You did this. You wanted to go on stage, and you wanted to be a speaker. And you did it.
Yep.
You wrote something, you rehearsed it, and now you travel around the country, basically every week, doing this thing that you love, and they're talking about you right now. Listen,
and appreciate,
and just be I feel it, we feel the bad things so much, when someone gives you a piece of something constructive criticism, or someone says something nasty, or you read a comment on Instagram, it's man, you feel that and you remember it forever. I can tell you some really nasty comments that I've read about myself on Instagram from 10 years ago,
right?
But why not feel the good stuff?
Yeah.
What's the point of it all?
No, totally.
It's so ridiculous.
It's so ridiculous. And that kind of reminds me of something that my husband pointed out to me that I hadn't thought about before, because there were some times where, I don't know, when you're a high achiever and you're going after a lot, you have a high capacity. We both worked really hard and used the tools in our toolbox and developed them and everything. Sometimes I'll think okay, well, what I did was not that impressive, and all that stuff. But what he pointed out, as someone who has a very different set of skills, he's it might not feel impressive to you because you're naturally good at it, or you have honed in the skills, or you have done something, or something in your DNA that makes it feel not impressive to you, but it's very impressive to other people. Just like you find other people who do cool stuff that you can't do impressive. And so it kind of just gave me a different perspective to not necessarily take for granted what I'm good at, and then to lean into it, because everyone's got different strengths. Totally. And I don't think it does anyone a service to downplay what we're great at, because it can be inspirational for other people.
Absolutely.
And I'm kind of starting to think now, it's especially as I now think, as I'm past the active racer and thinking about how can I help other women in the sport? How can you leave this legacy? How can you help more people get into it? Recognizing what you're really good at and what you kicked ass with helps kind of give permission for other people to do that too.
Totally.
And I think that's really powerful as well. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Specific follow-up from your SNL days, like obviously we don't want to recreate, we want to set new baselines and everything, but are there specific elements of that type of work and that type of lifestyle that you identified as something you want to continue to lean on and to continue to incorporate into this next chapter?
Well, I think I'm like an ultimate problem solver. I think I came out of the womb a problem solver. Like chaos and pressure and all that stuff all combined, and me having to solve a problem. Like, it's just who I am. Like I the higher the pressure, probably the better I am. I mean, there's been some moments where I wouldn't say
You're right.
I had my greatest day under pressure. Not every single one was an A.
Hey, failure's important, right?
Yeah,
That's how
amen.
we learn.
But I think the other thing I've learned since I left SNL was like, I was in like this producer job where like I was really talent based and I could creatively impact the show, but I wasn't considered like a creative. Like I wasn't like writing sketches, and I wasn't like, every day in the writer's room being like, what are we writing? What are we writing? I was more talent focused, but I've always been creative. And so it's like the things that I learned from that show, are with me talk about gifts, and it's applied. I mean, the way I look at the world, the way I look at anything production wise, it's just, I'm forever changed, right? Like, and I love that show taught me, like every single thing I see, like I do performance coaching now, and it's like, it's just with like CEOs and C-suite guys. And it's like, I'm so good at it because of that show. Like, and I love that. I love that show gave me that eye and that ability to see. I mean, it's the highest level of creativity and production you could possibly work at, I think, because it's so fast and you have no time, and everyone's freaking out. Right. And it really has given me like, such an ability, and I really love that. I love when I get to do that now. It's really fun. Even the documentary, like seeing how it's a totally different format, but same kind of thing, right? Trying to figure out how to get someone to trust you and get them to let their guard down and be really great. Yeah. And I love all those things the show gave me. Yeah. And it sounds like you love building. Like you love like all of that, which is great for me because that's the thing. I do. I love building. Although I'm like, for me, it's like when people are like, people who build companies, I'm like, oh, next level. Like entrepreneurs, so cool. I'm just like, yeah. I would really love to like get all of my skills together to one day do that, right? I mean, I'm just like, founders are just, incredible. Incredible. But I want to give you some credit. Like you're kind of doing that now. It's a smaller sub. I call myself a founder with women work fucking hard. But like when I'm talking like, you're building like a product, a business, like where you're hiring lots of employees. I mean, I'm just in awe of that. Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, it's really impressive. And I think being out at Stanford was so cool because like at those like late teenage years, you're like, oh my God, these students are so much more accomplished than I am. Like they're dropping out and starting businesses, and there's so many. And even watching Ben do that professionally, it's astounding, and so many pieces that you have to just make work, and you have to be good at so many different things. Well, also, I think the biggest thing that I find interesting is your relationship to risk. Yeah, the relationship to risk for an entrepreneur. Like I have friends who are just like, they fail. They're like, tell me I'm wrong. It's gonna just light a fire under my ass. Yeah. Like, or like I'm gonna. This company failed. I'm gonna do it again. And I'm like, oh my God, that's incredible. Yeah. Like I need more of that. Yeah. And I have to tell you, leaving SNL, like I am getting more of that. I am getting more of the bad thing, the bummers. Yeah. Like do light a fire more than they used to. You know? Well, and you don't have like necessarily the same kind of quote unquote security of the job, so you have to like get creative. And so I do want to jump into what you're bulding now because you, as you've mentioned, you do executive coaching, you're a keynote speaker, you've done film production, and you've been building Women Work Fucking Hard. How have you approached this next chapter and identifying those things as what you want to do? Obviously, you have a skill set for bringing out the best in people, so the coaching makes so much sense. Yeah.
What about speaking? What was kind of the impetus for that?
I mean, I'll tell a story. November of 22, I went to a conference and I sat down next to this complete stranger at a dinner, and we just started talking. And I've always loved to be on stage. I mean, I was a theater kid. I was president of my class. I spoke at my graduation. Like I always loved being on stage. In fact, my father, the first 5 years I was at SNL, was like, "Hey, when do you think they're going to figure out that you're the funny one?" And I was like, "Dad, that's just like never, Dad."
That's so cute.
Like,
though.
and I got to SNL, and it's like you're a behind the scenes person. And so it was just like the last thing I ever wanted to be was noticed. Like that's not what you do when you're a producer. And so you just blend into the you blend into the curtain.
Yeah.
But I've always loved doing it. And so when I left, I had this thing in my heart of like, I wonder if I could do that. Like, I wonder if I could. But I was embarrassed to say it to anybody because people would be like, "What do you mean?" Like, you just feel like people are going to judge you, being like, "You think you're going to just go start a speaking career?" And this girl I started talking to at dinner in November of 22, we kind of both started letting our guards down a little bit. She's probably 8 years younger than me, but she's a professor at Stanford Business School. And by the end of the night, I was like, "Can I tell you something?" I was like, "I feel like I could become like a speaker." And she had a speaking part of her career, and she's like, "I don't know you that well, but I can't. I think you could."
Of course.
And the next day, she called me and she was like, "Hey, I have an idea. Why don't I come to New York, and I'll help you story harvest and kind of come up with maybe some structure for a keynote." And then 2 months later, she booked me to do a lecture at Stanford Business School. And then 2 months later, I got the agency. I got the speaking agents.
What a gift.
Cut to 3 years, basically from the day from when I first met her. She married my husband and I.
No way.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
and I tell that story on stage a lot, especially at conferences where like you don't know the people next to you. And I was like, you never know when you're going to sit next to a stranger who's going to completely change your life.
Change your life. Yeah.
She is now like fully part of my family. Like she is like basically like a godmother to my daughter, and she's changed my life. I mean, she has like, and I couldn't say it to my husband. I couldn't say it to my mom or my best friend. I was afraid to, but I said it to a stranger, and she basically was like, I'm on board and I'm going to help you.
That's amazing.
And now I'm like on the road every single week speaking. So I can't remember what the question was, but you
answered it. So.
I love it. I love speaking so much. I cannot believe that I get to paid to go do that. Like
right.
And then it's going so well that I'm like, that's how I'm providing for myself. I cannot believe it.
Bravo.
It's the coolest thing I've ever done.
Good for you. It's so exciting.
And I worked at Saturday Night Live, but I still think it might be one of the coolest things I've ever done because I did it.
But that's, to your point, that's so also incredible that, we were just talking about all of the grief of leaving something behind and like not knowing how you're going to find that satisfaction and purpose with something else. And because you admitted it and you brought it to life. And I'm so happy you said it that way, because I think so much of tackling your emotions or your feelings or your wants and your needs is about putting it into the world. So like for me, it's journaling. If I put it on paper, it's real. It's there forever. Or I do wear my heart on my sleeve and I talk a lot. And so I do share with my husband and my family and everything, my wants and desires and everything. And then you have to confront it. And it's there. And it's like, are you just going to ignore it? Or are you going to address it? It's there. So I'm glad that your new family member was able to help you get there.
By the way, I remember when I booked the Stanford Business School thing, the professor, it wasn't her, it was another woman. And she was like, do you want to just do a fireside chat? And that would have been the easy thing. That's what I would have normally been like, yeah. Because I could do that like with my eyes closed, right? But I was like, no, I want to have to write a lecture. I want to have to write a 1 hour lecture because I needed the reason to start. Yeah. And so that was the start. And in fact, the structure of that first talk I gave at Stanford is still the structure of it's changed a ton since then, but the structure is from that first talk.
Let me tell you, I didn't know that Stanford was going to be such a unifying factor between us as well, because like I gave a TEDx talk at Stanford, and that's what kickstarted my career. And I got to work with a coach, and like they provided the coach. Yes. So, but she helped me storytell, and literally the first formal story that I told in that TEDx talk, I open all my keynotes with it. And that same style, it's, to your point, evolved. I speak a lot slower on stage now. I don't sound like a nervous 22-year-old who was on stage. But isn't that so powerful? Because you find your style. And I think that's what's so cool about, I'm sure most performing, but speaking in general is like, you shouldn't be like someone else necessarily. Like if you're there to do specifically like technical training for certain industries, like, yeah, you should probably be a certain vibe. But I think what's so cool about inspirational, motivational speakers is that you don't necessarily need to be like anybody else. Like the reason that you're cool and that you're wanted as a speaker is because of everything that you have done to get there, which is unique to you. And I think really embracing that is so liberating and fun, and the energy from a crowd is incredible. So I'm so glad you're getting that. You're really like full circle, like behind the scenes, on stage.
I know.
It's so cool.
It's been such a gift to create. And like, you know, especially when you're doing a lot, you know, when you're in that run, like I've got that like 5 and 7 days coming up, and it's like,
also, what a badass to have 5 speaking engagements in 7 days.
I know, it's incredible. But
don't know how you do
that one will be interesting because then you like really, it's like almost stand-up comedy where you, I mean, I don't want to say, but it is because you're like, oh, if I move this joke over here, let's try. And you start to really, cause you get so loose and you move. And if the audience is with you, oh my God. And you try, I mean, I've tried some things with good audiences that you're just like, you feel it's warm and engaging and you feel like, oh, I'm going to take some risks. And it's so much, it is like what I imagine, like the guy, all the old, like, you know, the stand-ups I know who would like just go work a thing. It's like you get better and you move things and you learn even just when to slow down and intonation and like, it's a great learning experience.
It's a great learning experience. And I will often credit Andrew Schulz with kind of I have the exact same perspective. I think it's so similar to stand-up comedy because you still have to convey a full message. But I give a lot of credit to Andrew Schulz because he was giving a TEDx talk at the same time I was in 2019. So years after my first one in Columbus Circle. And I stayed for the afternoon session. I heard him and he was talking about a serious matter, like how political correctness impacts comedy. But he delivered it with like such incredible humor. And I didn't find that the audience was necessarily the most engaged one I've ever seen. But for his talk, they were so locked in. And to me, that was the aha moment. Like, I need to somehow incorporate humor into the more serious themes that I'm talking about. I need to flirt with the audience a little bit. Like, there are those elements that I saw in stand-up, which I had not been going to a lot of stand-up before then. And it's so cool. It's such a fun art form for conveying a message and trying to help people be their best.
Yeah. And you get to be creative. Like, you know, every time you go up, you're like, I just rewrote like 20% of a talk that I'll do in a few weeks. And it's like, you just try it, right? And you're like, does it? And then you have to be like, did it work?
And it's scary the first time because I also incorporated a new theme. I did it for the first time in December of last year. And I was terrified because it was also one of the more vulnerable. It was about change. It was about change. And I didn't tear up, so I was proud of myself. But like you have to, not only are you delivering it and you have to be in the zone, but you have to be feeling how the audience is receiving it so that you can then tweak it and make it even better next time.
Yep.
It's
also going back and I always make myself, if there's a video, I'm like, gotta go watch it.
Oh, watching it.
Gotta go watch it.
When you pick up little things and
you just see, also you see where it's slow and where it's laggy. I mean, it's the part of the show, like from SNL where it's like the stuff that like, I had to always read the reviews. I didn't want to read the reviews. They were rarely good, but I had to go read them. That was part of the job. It's like you have to do the hard stuff.
Totally.
Right?
One more question for you before we get into our closing segment.
Yep.
So I'm always interested in what people's team looks like. And I would assume it was, one style of team at SNL. What does your team look like now in terms of people who are helping you accomplish all these really cool things that you're building?
Well, I have a great creative partner who named Alita, who does everything with me, and she cold emailed me 3 years ago. I'm a big cold email person. I've had a lot of people work for me who've cold emailed me. And she found me 3 years ago, and she's just I run every single thing by her, and she's a huge part of my life.
Shout out to Alita.
Yeah, shout out to Alita. I've got, my husband and my family are just the best supporters in the world, my parents. And then, listen, my ex-husband is killer, and he's a great dad. And he really, talk about somebody who has to support me with my traveling. I travel all the time now. I never used to travel. I used to have a crazy schedule.
But at home.
But he supports, he's always wants me to if I can do something, he wants to support me to do it so he can, he takes my daughter on nights that he's not supposed to, so I can do it.
That's great.
And And then I've got a lot of great sitters.
So
a lot of friends who
cool.
support me too when I need help, you know?
I love that. And I'm assuming agents that help you with
Oh my
all
God,
that,
how did I not forget the agents? I mean, my agents changed my life, you know,
Yeah.
leading authorities, my speakers bureau, like just completely changed my life.
They're awesome. Alrighty, so we're
Yes.
going to go into the final segment. I like to ask my guests to finish the sentence, if I'm honest, which you've already done a few times,
I know.
but something that can be viewed as wisdom that they can take away.
If I'm honest.
Oh my God, the drama.
If I'm honest, the thing that I find myself wrestling with the most right now is 3 years ago, all I wanted was to be busy, you know, to like fill my time with things that I loved and work. And now I have that, right? I have all those things. And I'm struggling with like being present and like really sitting in the joy of like what I've built, you know, and today would be a perfect example of just like, I was really struggling walking here today. Like I was just like, my brain couldn't shut off and there's just so much. And I keep thinking to myself, like, you know, nothing's promised to us, right? And we just keep it, okay, well, tomorrow, like, and like getting on that treadmill, and I'm on the treadmill, right? And there's so many things I should be grateful for, and there's so much joy, and I'm healthy, and I've got this great family. And I just am like, I'm really struggling with that thing of like, how do I sit in my joy more? How do I sit, like, I'm really proud of myself for how present I've been in the past couple of years, but just not letting it all pass us by, right? Like, and I'd say that's my thing that I think every single person needs to get better at, which is like, what's the point of it all?
Yeah.
You know, like the things we want, we then get, and then we move the goalposts over here, and then we stay in the chaos. I don't want to be someone who just sits in the chaos and talks about the chaos and complains about the chaos. I want to be able to like enjoy the fact that I've built something and I'm proud of it, but also like life's short and like we should have some fun.
Yeah.
You know, I was thinking to myself, like, I should, you know, like this isn't all the things I'm worried about. They're all gonna be fine.
Yeah.
You know, but I'm just, you get on that treadmill and you get on that anxiety train of like, and I'm like, I gotta like quiet my brain and just be like, listen, are you healthy? You're healthy. Okay.
Yeah.
Well then that's pretty good.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, thank you for being honest about that, because I think that's, to your point, so relatable. And I think there's a certain element of, it's important to embrace the chaos because there's so much going on, but to your point, to then also not be overwhelmed by it and to be
not
present.
take it too seriously.
Not
you
take
know,
it too
like
seriously. And be able to unplug. And like, I think finding those moments every day, like my husband and I have finally gotten into reading together before going to bed, and just the really physical, putting the phone aside, like calming down your brain. So impactful.
Well, there's gonna be things that you have to really take seriously in life,
For sure.
right? And I always say it's like when those things happen, then all the other stuff I'm worried about, you don't even that means nothing to you, right?
Yeah.
But it's not until something really hard happens
Yeah.
that you like forget about all the like stupid stuff.
Yeah.
So it's like I'm really I've done the work to get better at it, but right now I'm just on this like, you know, I think maybe it's headed into this like really busy couple weeks. I'm just like, how do you just like not give in to the like your brain taking over? You know, how do you just be like, this is all good?
You're going to go enjoy your 5 days and the total rhythm that you're going to get into and like the high that you're going to feel.
I'm zigzagging across the country, by the way.
God.
It's not even like
I feel sorry for that.
It's not even like it's like in the order. It's like boom, 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 boom. But you know what?
No, that's
but again,
tough.
but I say that and I'm like, if you would have told me that 3 years ago, I would have been like,
this is what you hoped for. This is what you dreamed for. Oh, I completely get that. And I think I empathize with that because, and I think a lot of people do, like you wish for something, you want it, and then you get it. And it's
and
like,
you move the goalposts further away, right? It's like,
that's the nature of,
I know, but it's like, it's stupid.
That's
if
fair.
I'm honest, it's stupid.
Okay, perfect. That's going to be the leader of the teaser reel there.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. We're going to go into a quick rapid fire.
Okay.
Do you have a favorite do you have an all-time favorite SNL skit?
There's a digital short called I Ran the Country So Far Away, and it's just, I could watch it a million times. I do watch it all the time.
Oh, amazing.
Andy Samberg and Adam Levine.
I'm going to go
Fred
check
Armisen.
it out.
Fred Armisen too.
If you had a 30-minute break to relax, how would you spend it? Fitting question given what we just talked about.
I'd call someone I love.
Oh, I love that.
I love being on the phone with there's like 7 people I would call.
I do that a lot more now that I like walk to work and walk back from work. Like it gives me that time that I like that. Do you have a hero?
Do I have a hero? My grandmother. I've got her name, her signature on my wrist. She was just like the coolest woman. She lived to 99 and 3/4, and she's just a badass lady.
That's so great. What was your favorite industry awards show to attend?
None of them.
Okay.
I mean, maybe the Golden Globes, because it was just like people were drinking and like it was more of a party.
Cool.
You know.
You kind of answered this a little bit, but I'll see if you give the same answer. What's a mantra that you live by?
Lately, it's I breathe in, I am, 2 counts, and then I say letting go, 2 counts. So I am letting go.
Oh, good. I like that.
That's in the past like month.
Everyone, we have 2 mantras now. We have soften and breathe in. I am
really
let out.
My therapy things.
No, this is great. We'll give your therapist a plug.
Letting go, man. It's so good to let go.
Last, if you're honest, what's something that you're grateful for right now?
My family and my health. Man, my health, but my family. I've got a really beautiful family, and having gone through a divorce and not been able to imagine what would be in my future. Now I have this beautiful husband and 3 great stepkids, and I'm just like, I'm living such a beautiful chapter that I never could have imagined.
I'm so happy for you, and I'm so happy that we're friends now because you are such a badass. And we will link all of your website and socials and everything, but is there a specific place where people can find you?
LindsayShookus.com, baby.
That's right.
Go book Lindsay for made the website for a reason.
I love that. Well, Lindsay, thank you so much for being honest with us, and go get them.
Oh, I appreciate it. Thank you so much, my friend.
Thank you.
Team, thank you for joining us on If I'm Honest with Julia Landauer. I hope you enjoyed listening to this conversation as much as I enjoyed recording it with our guest. And if you like the episode, please subscribe to the podcast on your preferred platform to get new episodes when they drop. It would also be a huge help if you can leave a rating on that page, write a comment, and share the episode with someone who you think might enjoy it. As always, thank you for letting us be honest with you, and I'll see you next week.